call the meeting to order. I'd like to welcome the audience to the November 19th, 2019 Parish Planning and Zoning Board meeting. If you would, please stand while Coach Williams says the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear Lord, again we come thanking Thee for allowing us another blessed day. We thank Thee for life and health and strength. We ask that you come and that your presence be in this meeting tonight. We ask that blessing upon our board and our staff and all our elected officials, Lord. Let guide them that they may do the right thing. And we pray for those who come seeking our help. Let the Holy Spirit guide and lead us that we might do that which is right. This we offer as our prayer this day. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Coach. Miss Christie, would you please call roll?
Chair Art Little.
Here.
Vice Chair Kirk Smith.
Here.
Miss Latricia Cobb.
Here.
Miss Julia Dickerson is absent. Miss Miss Sharon Galicia.
Here.
Miss Janelle Hyatt. Mr. Kyle Link.
Here.
Mr. Jake Porsche.
Here.
Mr. Gary Navarre.
Here.
And Mr. LaSalle Williams.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Christie. This is an 11-member board. It will take the majority of those members present to grant or deny any request heard here tonight. The chair will refrain from voting unless that vote might affect the outcome. The meeting will be conducted with me reading the requests from the agenda. The planning staff will give a presentation and report their recommendations. If the applicant would like to add to the staff's presentation, or if someone from the audience has comments, please come to the microphone and state your name, address, and the nature of your request. All persons wishing to speak other than the applicant need to fill out a blue card, request to appear form located in the back of this room. The form must be given to a staff member prior to the reading of the agenda item. As required by this board's bylaws, in all cases, the proponents will be limited to 10 minutes. Opponents will be granted 10 minutes as well, with each speaker allowed no more than 3 minutes. I recommend that a spokesperson be selected if there is a large group wanting to speak on the same agenda item. If 4 or more speakers' request forms are submitted, the time allotted for the individual speaker will be limited based on the number of forms submitted. The chair has the right to limit speakers who present redundant information or personal attacks. In unique situations, the chair may extend or the board may vote to extend the time allotted for speakers. After discussion, the board will vote on each request, and I will announce the decision of the board after the vote. Invariances and exceptions all are final here tonight. The rezoning cases will go before the police jury for final action on November the 21st, 2019 at 5:30 p.m. This meeting is being filmed by the Calcasieu Parish Government Channel and can be viewed on Wednesday and Thursday following the meeting. For additional run dates, check the website at www.cppj.net. Channel 5 in Lake Charles, Sulphur, Moss Bluff, Westlake, Vinton, DeQuincy, and Gillis, and Channel 99 in Corliss and Grand Lake. At this time, please either turn off or silent all electronic devices. Item number 5 on the agenda is to take appropriate action to approve the minutes of the October 22nd, 2019 Planning and Zoning Board meeting. I'll entertain a motion for approval. I have a motion by Mr. Navarre, seconded by Ms. Hyatt. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Agenda item number 6. Take appropriate action on VAR 09190103, a request by SEC Holding LLC for a variance to increase the density requirements. Allowed 12 units, requesting 16 units in the 1300 block of Georgia Road in Ward 1. I'll entertain a motion for approval with conditions.
So moved.
I have a motion by Ms. Brown, seconded by Ms. Hyatt. Ms. Tammy?
This property is located in Moss Bluff and encompasses 1.6 acres. In 2018, the board approved a zoning request to rezone this property to multifamily to allow 6 duplexes, which is 12 units. At this time, the applicant is requesting a variance to increase the density requirements to add 2 additional duplexes. If approved, this will allow a total of 8 duplexes. Because the development is in the urban service area and the proposed landscape and fencing will minimize visual impact, the staff recommends the request be granted, with the condition that the development adhere to the site plan on file with the Division of Planning and Development, provided that the director or designee may authorize adjustments to the site plan in light of technical or engineering considerations discovered during development.
Thank you, Ms. Tammy. Does the applicant have anything to add to the staff's recommendations? If you would, please state your name and address for the records, please, ma'am.
Robin Bissoni, 1010 Lakeland Drive, Lake Charles. Just let you know I'm here to represent SEC Holdings. If you have any questions, I'm available.
Any board members have any questions or comments? We have no blue cards in opposition. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you, ma'am. Agenda item number 7. Take appropriate action on VAR 0919-0108, a request by Taryn Leger for a variance to decrease the side and rear yard setback requirements for a pond. Required 50 feet, requesting 20 feet at 1079 Zoe's Court in Ward 3. I'll entertain a motion for approval with conditions. A motion by Ms. Brown and seconded by Ms. Hyatt. Ms. Tammy?
This property is located in the South Lake Charles area and encompasses approximately 1.32 acres of agricultural zone land. The applicant intends to excavate a pond on the property and utilize the materials to elevate a house pad. Because there is no evidence of hardship, the staff recommends the request be denied. Should the board grant the request, the staff recommends the following conditions: that the development adhere to the site plan on file with the Division of Planning and Development, provided that the director or designee may authorize adjustments to the site plan in light of technical or engineering considerations discovered during development, that the development adhere to stormwater best management practices, and that obstructing the flow of surface water is prohibited.
Thank you, Ms. Tammy. Does the applicant have anything to add to the staff's recommendations?
Chairman, members of the commission, my name is Tom Gale. Address is 713 Kirby Street, Lake Charles. I'm here on behalf of the applicant. This is the same subdivision that we've done about 6 of these on now. And so it was the subdivision that got approved in 18. It is west of the Lake Charles Airport. There's another lot in there. Mr. Leger bought the property under the assumption that he was going to be able to dig a pond for his site dirt. And we're in today asking for a variance to allow him to be able to do this like we've done several times before.
How many more of these lots in that subdivision?
There are a total of 22 lots in the subdivision, and we've done about 6.
Any other questions or comments by the board? Ms. Christie, can we have a roll call vote,
I
please,
do have a
ma'am?
question. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry,
I
Mr.
was-
Jake.
I was late on the trigger there. We've done 6 so far. Have we approved all 6? Okay, that's all.
Thank you.
Can they redo this where they don't have to come back? Can it be redone where they don't have to come back in on this? Or is this is something that,
I presume you're asking if they could do like a blanket type variance. The thing is that we look at these as individual lots. That's how they were divided. And so we don't have plans for each one of these lots. So these lots are being sold to individuals. They design their own homes. They can design their own pond. We don't tell them how to design their pond. They can shape it any way they want to shape it. And at this point, I haven't seen where there's a hardship in terms of them not being able to meet the setback. That hasn't been demonstrated where they can't get enough of the dirt and still meet the setback. That's why I keep not recommending it, you know. I know it's a redundant thing that keeps going on, but until they can demonstrate, or each of the property owners can demonstrate that it's truly a hardship versus a financial hardship, I mean, that's how it is.
How long has these people owned this property?
They bought it in 18. I don't remember the exact closing date.
So they sold all of them in 18?
No, sir. No, sir. No,
Everyone
sir.
that's come up here has been bought in 18.
And that's the people who are now getting prepared to build.
But how many, I should have changed it to different. How many vacant lots do we have? You said they got
don't know.
22, and we done approved 6. This is 7. How many more vacant lots do they have?
I mean, if we did the math, it's 22 minus, so we've got about 14 that are left. So the sales halted, I'll be honest with you, the sales halted in the subdivision, and the developer is owning a bunch of their own right now. They have not gone forward. And, it depends upon the definition of a hardship, but it got proved.
Well, if this was purchased in 19, they should have known, that it was, that's what I'm trying to find out. If it was bought in 19, and that was the rule, January 1 of 19, that they should have known about it. If it was done in 18, I don't know, when did we change this? And at what month of 18?
January of 19.
It went
know.
into effect January of 19.
It was in December of 18?
It was approved in January of 2018, but went into effect January 19.
So they had a whole year.
No, sir.
No, they had a month.
Huh? It was approved January of 18.
No, sir.
December of
18.
18.
Oh, 1
I'm
month.
sorry.
Wait,
One
no,
month,
wait,
One
okay.
month.
Let me clarify. The subdivision got approved in the summer of 18. So we got final subdivision approval in June or July of 18. Then the ordinance got amended and it got voted on in December of 18 for an effective date of January of 19.
Who owns the remainder of those lots that hasn't, that's,
The developer.
well, he needs to tell these people that that's what they gotta have. Because it's no use to change the rule if we're gonna change it back every time we turn around.
I will suggest to you, this is a fairly unique situation. This is a subdivision that got approved in a flood zone. And when it got approved with the assumption we had a 0 setback at the time, or a 10-foot setback, 0.
But we didn't know who was going to build ponds. We don't know.
Right.
And we still don't. And as we go forward, there may be people who come in who don't. But what happened is that once it got approved, and Mr. Gabb and I have had this conversation, we call it the retroactive application of an ordinance. And what happens is a substantive ordinance is only supposed to be applied prospectively. So the question becomes, does it apply when you go pull a building permit or whenever you vote on it to approve it? And so that's what happens, is that whenever that ordinance went into effect, whichever argument it is, and that's why we're doing these one at a time as opposed for the entire subdivision.
Is there a way, or I'm sure there is, that if another one comes up, that we have proof of the date it was sold? Because if it was sold after January of 19,
Oh, yeah, we can get
Yeah.
proof. Yeah. through the
I just
record.
don't want to, if it was bought before January, but if this developer is selling these things and not telling them, shame on him.
Well, part of the problem is the plan and the design and the layout got laid out on the economics based upon the assumption we had a 0 lot line in a flood zone. And so the subdivision may have looked very differently had they designed it with the assumption that you couldn't dig dirt from, or at least the same quantity of dirt, but it has changed the economics of the entire subdivision for both the developer and for the homeowner. And so that's why we're coming back one at a time to do it.
They're the ones that are digging these ponds, they're only digging enough dirt to build their house pad, or they're selling some dirt?
Absolutely. This is not a burrow pit. I'm going to bring you a burrow pit next agenda item. This is not a burrow pit.
Mr. West?
Mr. Chairman, there was nothing that was submitted along with this to show that there was going to be a pond dug on each one of these lots when the subdivision plat was done. So
it was approved?
you're asking the staff to try to figure out, on each one of the, whoever buys that property, who's going to build a pond and how they're going to design their home. We have no idea. There may be somebody that comes on here that wants to do a chain wall type development and not, or has something, can get dirt off-site and bring it on-site from somewhere, cheaper than they can dig it. I don't know. They may not want a pond.
Mr. Gadd?
Or Mr. Porsche first.
The timeline, and I'm not saying that I disagree with anything Mr. Navarre is saying as far as I know there's many positives of the ordinance change. I know building upon 0 lot line in 5 years, you're going to be encroaching on other property. So I agree with all that. For this specific development, to me, it's a perfect storm of elevation, which it's in a flood zone. So you either build it up on piers with a big chain wall, or you raise your elevation. And I know the price of dirt. I can't imagine unless there's a major highway coming through where they're going to be just saying, hey, we have free dirt, we need to get rid of it, type of situation through here. They're going to dig a pond. My only problem with the us establishing, even though we're not tonight, this is only, but a timeline is family is going through, they're looking at purchasing a lot here. They're seeing ponds that are built and homes already built. There's going to be a lot of assumptions made just visually looking at this pond is 10 foot off this property line and they built a nice home and then they purchase and we can't trust a developer or to give all that information. There's going to be a lot of assumptions made on precedent when someone's going for these next 14 lots. That would be my only concern is we're going to have somebody come up here that purchases next week and have made a lot of assumptions on what they see. So that I just, it is a special situation because to me, everybody's going to need to raise elevation and they're going to need dirt and they're going to have to do a pond. So that's it.
But with the erosion, eventually it's going to be one great big pond from one property to the other.
Possibly. We've been approving 10 feet from 50. 20. From 50. The ordinance states 50 to 20. Okay.
And Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
The only thing I wanted to say is the same thing I've said a couple of times with these lots. The things you have to look at again are the fact that you have approved the same request in other lots. It's one consideration. It's not the sole consideration, but it is one. And the other considerations are, and I think last month may have been the property next to it. It's those things you have to consider. And each one does stand on its own, but you also have to look at who's here in opposition, what you've done in the past, and this lot in particular, and the request before you now.
Thank you, sir. We do have I'm sorry. Yes, Ms. Cobb.
Mr. Gale, you know the developer going forward, is he going to make the people aware that they will have to come before the planning and zoning to be able to build or to get a pond done?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And that's one of the disclosures we're having to make. The flip side to it is that the economics of the development were built on the assumption that they were going to be able to dig. And so the folks and even the way they laid out the subdivision is kind of based on that assumption. And you'll notice the property on the south, it's probably a little less evident, but on Gossett Road, which is the access road to get you in there, these are all fairly narrow, deep lots that lend themselves. And some folks want lots a pond in the front, some want them back, and some people have access to dirt. And they don't have to have a pond, like Mr. Crane was saying. And we don't know that everybody's going to need one or want one. It's just the folks that are sort of in the pipeline right now know that this is a $60,000 or $70,000 price swing on the price of the lot. And so for the average consumer who's going to go out and build a house for, that's made their decision for their homestead, it's a big economic swing on the budget.
Thank you, sir. We have one more blue card in favor of Mr. Terrell Leger.
If you don't have any, Mr. Leger is a lot owner, and he asked
Oh,
me to
okay, I'm
speak.
sorry.
And if there's any specific questions you have for him, he's here, but we turned it in case you wanted to
Okay.
address anything.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Christie, can we have a roll call vote, please, ma'am?
Mr. Navarre,
Yes.
Ms. Cobb,
Yes.
Mr. Porsche,
Yes.
Mr. Williams, Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Link,
Yes.
Ms. Hyatt,
Yes.
Ms. Galatia,
Yes.
8 for.
Thank you, Ms. Christie. Motion carries. Agenda item number 8, take appropriate action on VAR 10190111, a request by Wayne Gaddy for a variance to decrease the side yard setback requirements for an accessories building, required 3 feet, requesting 1 foot at 681 UN Road in Ward 1. I'll entertain a motion for approval with
So
conditions.
moved.
I have a motion by Mr. Navarre, seconded by Ms. Cobb. Ms. Tammy?
This property is located in Moss Bluff area and encompasses 2.7 acres of single-family residential zone land. Currently, the property is the applicant's home and the existing shop. The applicant intends to construct a 40 by 40 storage building on the north side of his property. The applicant is requesting the side yard setback variance from required 3 feet to 1 foot. Because there is no hardship, the staff recommends the request be denied. Should the board grant the request, the staff recommends the following conditions: that the development adhere to the site plan on file with the Division of Planning and Development, provided that the director or designee may authorize adjustments to the site plan in light of technical or engineering considerations discovered during development, and that the development adhere to stormwater best management practices.
Thank you, Ms. Tammy. Does the applicant have anything to add to the staff's recommendations?
Name's Wayne Gaddy. I live at 681 U1 Road. This is my current residence. I admit there's no hardship. My advantage or reasoning was to just take full advantage of the property. The real estate on the north and east side is blocked. No one can ever build. There's a pond directly to the north of where I want to build, so that land really is of no value other than a fish hole. So I was just wanting to take advantage of it. I realize it's my first opportunity to ever come before the board here, and so it's a learning experience, but I thought I'd show up. You don't win if you don't show up, so.
There we go. Thank you very much. Does any of the board members, Mr. Porche?
The neighbor to the north, that's a adjoining property owner. And I understand, you're just wanting to get it a little further from the house?
Yes.
Yep. You know, I think that a lot of these ordinances are common sense type stuff. And I mean, if you ever need to do any sort of maintenance, weeding, cleaning, anything in your 1 foot, it's not physically possible to do that without encroachment on your neighbor. And that's where, 3 feet is, hey, we can still get around and change the roof or change a panel or in the future. So just thinking from your perspective, it's like, know fully what you're asking for, because, I mean, I personally would have a problem with it without some sort of easement access by my neighbor. If I ever needed to get on there, and it could change hands tomorrow. You may have a good relationship with this, but without some document saying, hey, you're gonna give me a 3-foot easement to be able to maintain my building, I would just have concern and trepidation just for that fact.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but the drawing doesn't really depict, actually, it's only gonna be a 30 by 40, 30 wide, 40 deep.
Right.
And there's gonna be a 10-foot overhang on it, so there would be access to come in and out, as far as getting vehicles in and out from the front to back, no problem.
On the north side?
Yes.
Okay.
So that was kind of why I wanted to push it all the way and
Sure.
and eventually put a fence between us.
Right. It'd be hard to get a fence in 1 foot. All right, that's all.
That's all.
Jack. Any other questions or comments from the board? Christie, can we have a roll call vote, please, ma'am?
Mr. Smith?
No.
Mr. Navarre?
Nope.
Ms. Galicia?
No.
Mr. Link?
No.
Ms. Cobb?
No.
Mr. Porsche?
No.
Ms. Hyatt? No. Mr. Williams? 8 against.
Thank you, Ms. Christie. Motion fails. Agenda item number 9, take appropriate action on EX 09190059, a request by Tower Land Company LLC and HGPC LLC for an exception to allow a 3-year extension to an existing borrow pit in the 8200 block of Gulf Highway in Ward 3. I'll entertain a motion for approval with conditions. I have a motion by Ms. Cobb, seconded by Ms. Hyatt. Ms. Tammy?
This property is located in the South Lake Charles area and encompasses approximately 200 acres of agricultural land. In 2015, the applicant received approval to excavate a 138-acre borrow pit. The approval was granted for a 3-year period, which expired in May of this year. The applicant is requesting an additional 3-year period for excavation. Because the surrounding land uses are agricultural and industrial, the staff recommends that the request be granted with the following conditions: that the development must be in accordance with Section 26-122 1F4 of the Parish Code of Ordinances, that the approval is subject to conditions imposed by the Division of Engineering, including but not limited to hauling routes and bonding, that the runoff management plan will be required unless appropriate waiver is granted by the Division of Engineering, and that a letter of no objection from applicable gravity drainage district be provided prior to issuance of the development permit.
Thank you, Ms. Tammy. Does the applicant have anything to add to the staff's recommendations?
Chairman, members of the board, Tom Gale, 713 Kirby Street, Lake Charles. This is just a renewal of an existing permit. Mr. Navarro, that's a dirt pit.
Yep. You've been working on it 3 years, that's a big dirt.
Exactly. Glad to answer any questions or address any concerns.
Any questions by the staff?
Thank you for your
Any
support.
comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Agenda item number 10, take appropriate action on EX 10190062, a request by John Leggett for an exception to allow residential development modular home at 1157 Curry Drive in Ward 4. I'll entertain a motion for approval with conditions. I have a motion by Ms. Cobb, seconded by Ms. Hyatt. Ms. Tammy?
This property is located in Carlos and encompasses nearly 17 acres of single-family residential zone land. The applicant would like to place one modular home on the property to serve as his daughter's residence. The parish code requires an exception by the board for a modular home and to allow this project to move forward. Because minimal impacts are to be expected, the staff recommends that the request be granted with the following conditions: that the development adhere to the site plan on file with the Division of Planning and Development, provided that the director or designee may authorize adjustments to the site plan in light of technical or engineering considerations discovered during development, that the modular home is certified by a third-party inspector registered with the Louisiana Code Council, and that the modular home meets the International Residential Code prior to obtaining a development permit. We have received numerous written letters of opposition, and these letters and a petition are uploaded to your tablets.
Thank you, Ms. Tammy. Does the applicant have anything to add to the staff's recommendation? We have three blue cards in opposition. I'm sorry, yes. 2 in opposition and 1 for. I'll ask Mr. Tim Sexton to come to the mic. State your name and address, please, sir.
Hey, Mr. Chairman, as the speaker comes up, is this one of the speakers in opposition?
Yes, sir, these
Okay.
are in
So we
opposition.
have 2 in opposition.
And 1 in favor of.
Okay, thank you. And just a reminder, 3 minutes per speaker.
Right.
Mr. Chair, if you don't mind, could I ask my father, Richard Sexton, to join me in
Yeah,
opposition?
his name is on as a speaker, yes. We're going to give you each get 3 minutes to express your concerns and
Okay,
comments.
thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. I was going to let my father field the bulk of the
And
remarks.
if you would, state your name and address, please, sir. I'm sorry.
Sorry about that. Tim Sexton, lot owner 43 on Sonoma Circle in Sandia Estates in Carlos, subdivision adjacent to the said property. Like I was saying, I'd like my father to field the majority of the complaints, but with your permission, I would like to ask those in the audience in opposition to either stand or raise their hand.
Yes, sir. All those that may be here in opposition of this application, if you would, raise your hands, please. Thank you all very much.
That's all I have. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Richard Sexton?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. I'm Richard Sexton. I am the Homeowners Association president of the subdivision that's adjacent to this land.
And your address, please, sir?
My address is 3552 Sierra Circle, which is in this subdivision next to this Mr. Leggett's land. We have some concerns about this. Our main concern is that we maintain our R1 single-family restrictions without any exceptions. We got many people here represented tonight, not only from our subdivision, but up and down Curry Drive and Thompson and other little roads right around our area. People who have built some real nice homes in this area and invested a lot of money in them and came to this area because there were no mobile homes or modular homes in this area, and that's why they chose to move here, including myself. This property, this area was zoned in 1982, and according to I read on your guys' records, is in the past year there have been no zoning requests. One of our big concerns is that if you guys grant this request, we'll have more requests down Curry Lane, Curry Drive, and Thompson, saying that, hey, if they built if you granted them an exception, you can grant me one too. And that's our big concern. And presently, there are no trailers or modular homes located on Curry Drive in the zone R1 classification. There is one small area of the road that is zoned agriculture, and I think there might be a home back there behind some trees. When Mr. Leggett put this sign up in front of his place, we got a lot of comments and people calling me and asking to know more about this, so we checked into it and gave them the information, and many of them wanted to sign a petition saying they strongly oppose. So I walked around the neighborhood and got 100% participation in every one of them signing that they oppose this. That was 60 different homeowners. I got one signature for each location, and some of these are have lots there that are planning to be there soon, so they got a chance to sign as well. And some other residents in our neighborhood, which many of them I don't even know, passed petitions around, and they got 102 more signatures saying, you know, we are strongly opposed to this. And our concern is that, you know, we moved there. I got friends in the neighborhood that moved there from Lake Charles because of the, you know, the conditions that were
Mr.
there.
Sexton, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and try to wrap up as
Yes, sir.
soon as you can.
That's really all that I have to say. Is for any of you members that aren't familiar with that area, that subdivision is one of the very nicest ones in Carlos area. And the latest house being built in there is over $500,000 house. So that's, he wanting to put a modular home right next to that. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Sexton,
Thank you.
appreciate it. Mr. Darren Napinski? Is that close to being right?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Darren Napinski. My address is 1183 Curry Drive. I am John Leggett's neighbor. I have been his neighbor for 5 years. Relative to this gentleman's past discussion, you would think that I would have received some notification from these people wanting me to sign a petition, wanting my comments on it. I have never received any such thing from them. Relative to John, that land was vacant before he moved in. He built everything is on that land by himself with his own two hands. The area is pristine. It's well kept, and he's doing something for his daughter because he's a family man. Now, with that aside, the more salient thing that I'd like to talk about is the modular home. One of the rumors that I had heard from a neighbor was that this area was going to end up being this big trailer park, or it's going to be a subdivision. They didn't know how many houses were going in there, so on and so forth. And I told the gentleman that I was talking to that that is absolutely not the case. Well, we're worried about mobile homes, and that's what I want to talk about today. In my past work experience, I was an engineering manager for a modular home company back in Nebraska. And I can tell you, beyond a shadow of a doubt, these homes are built as good or better as the homes that are up and down my street, including my house. The reason I say that is because these homes are built in an air-conditioned factory by individuals that have worked there for years and years. All the walls are put in jigs, so everything is square, and the craftsmanship is beyond reproach. Now, relative to the architectural pleasing of these things, they can build anything they want to build. I don't know if the thing that we were seeing there is the actual house, but my company has built houses like $100,000 to $500,000 homes that were transferred to Colorado, put in the mountains. And I'm promising you, these are every bit as nice as the houses that are being built here today. They are not on wheels. Once they're made, they come in on a skid, they plop them down. They come in boxes. It's like a big Lego set. Put a box here, stack a box on top here. The only thing difference is you don't have all the red things that the Legos have. They have real roofs, and they are absolutely gorgeous. I was proud to be engineering manager there. These things are computer designed. They are highly insulated. And basically, I just wanted to put people at ease that this is a quality thing. That's not on wheels. It's not going to move. It's going to be put on a hard foundation. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
I just got one question for information, sir. That house that I'm looking, that's a marginal home, right?
Could be. It could be a sick-built home as well.
I went out in that area the other day and observed all down Curry Street. And I didn't see anything look like this. Now, I understand that there's one back in the wooded area, you can't see it. I saw the road going back in them. But on Curry Drive, I didn't see nothing. All I saw was some big, fine homes. So I'm wondering about, is that going to be consistent to what's already on Curry Drive?
I can't answer that, sir. I'm here to just tell you my expertise on modular homes. But I'm telling you, based on my experience with Mr. Leggett, he doesn't build junk.
Any other?
I do.
Mr. Gary?
Is he buying the modular home from the company you work for, or
No,
used
sir.
to work for?
No, sir. But I can tell you that modular homes are built similarly all throughout the United States.
But they do not look like a $500,000 house or a $200,000 house. They look like a $100,000
No,
house,
absolutely not.
you know?
Absolutely not. It all depends how big a check you write, sir.
Right, and if you're gonna write that kind of a check, you can build one.
No, they're much more economical. Because a stick-built company, a stick-built
If they
home,
were that much more economical, we'd have a bunch of carpenters laid off around here, and people would be hauling in modular homes, sir. I'm sorry.
well, the carpenters are sometimes the problem, sir. Getting consistent crews here to build these homes, you know, not being familiar with the floor plan. These modular homes, some of these homes are built, they'll be built five of them a week. They know what they're doing. They know how they're put together. You give a new framing crew a new set of plans, they've never built it before.
Thank you,
And they're
Mr.
doing it
Darren.
out in the weather with rain and snow. Well, not snow, sorry, I'm from Nebraska.
Thank you. Mr. Jack?
I don't have any questions for the gentleman here.
Thank you.
Just general comments, if I may. It's, you know, and we talk about it often, precedent, and I understand each case is different, you know, and that's why we're here for each individual case to look at all of the variables and make our decisions from there. But a great example that we had earlier, and I know I'm not referencing just the general concepts of the offsets in the pond. You know, the first one came through, now it's 7 in. And I just think it's important when we make our decisions that it's setting a precedent that we look at it, we're gonna allow one, then we should be prepared at least mentally to allow 150, you know. There's a reason that they have to come before us as an exception to build this home in a R1 zoned area. And that's because the parish established that it doesn't fit. So they're coming for us here to try to make it fit. And you know, I've been through the area, I'm familiar with the area, beautiful homes throughout. And I just, you know, that's just my general comments is they are asking for an exception to make something fit that doesn't fit in the area. The discussions on the modular homes, I mean, that's really outside of our scope. I've seen really nice and I've seen really poor. And just with vehicles, I mean, it applies to everything. But so that's all, you know, and just be prepared that it wouldn't just be one, possibly it could be people lining up to get modular or manufactured homes approved in R1. Yes, sir.
Any other questions or comments? I have a question for the staff. Should a home be built on site, would this application need to come before us to be able to build a home on site? Stick build, I guess you would call it?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments? I'm sorry.
May I add one thing? There is no architectural requirement either in terms of the look of the building. If somebody wants to put something or build something on this property, there is no minimum architectural requirement, look to this building.
Okay, thank you. Does the applicant have anything or comments that he would like to make before we go to vote?
2 minutes.
Yes, please.
How come everybody's got 3? Yeah, but I'm the applicant. John Leggett, 1157 Curry Drive. Look, what we're trying to do out there, we're not trying to mess up the neighborhood. I have a nice home out there, okay? I'm trying to do something for my daughter at a price that she can afford. And these other people have a problem. If they have a problem, they should have did their homework on this property back when they built these 500 square foot houses or $500,000 houses. The worst scenario when you build next to a piece of property, what is the worst scenario that could happen to that piece of property? Am I willing to take that chance of this house, of me building this big home next to this property? And yeah, I own all 17 acres of it or like that. And this is what we want to do. So that's all I got to say. You know, like I said, yeah, my daughter can't afford a $500,000 house. She can afford a $150,000 house. Okay, I can afford a $500,000, but she can't. But she's wanting to pay for this herself. Okay, so these people should have done their homework. Or the land's for sale for $3 million. Okay, thank you, sir.
I got a question for Mr. Lee.
Yes, sir.
Mr. John, Where would this home be placed? You got 17 acres.
Something like that, yes, sir.
Where would it be placed? Would it be
It's gonna be-
placed on your property?
Yeah, right. See, we just had the survey done on the 2 acre right there, that bottom right corner. That we just got the surveys back today, and that's been surveyed out. And that approximately right there where the house is going, you know, on that north side of that 2 acre tract. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
And like I said, there's a 400-foot driveway. You're not going to be able to see this house from the road. There's a 400-foot driveway right there. Okay, and the house is going to face east to west. The only thing they're going to see from their subdivision is the roof. Okay? Because like I said, I own the land all the way to the east, to the west of that right there. Yeah, that's the only thing they're going to see is the roof part of this house. You won't see nothing else. Now, you could, if I get upset, but but it might not be pretty if I get upset.
John, go ahead, Mr.
It's been surveyed, but.
Yes, yes.
But there's been no conveyance of ownership, correct?
What do you mean? I'm the owner.
Okay, it didn't go to your daughter?
Oh, no, it's staying in my name. No, I'm retaining the property. Yes, sir. Yeah, it goes to, matter of fact, it goes to wetlands litigation Monday. Because everything has to be litigated in Louisiana, so. I've had some of that property litigated, and I'll have that other 2 acres litigated this week.
Mitigated, I think.
Mitigated, whatever that word is. But, yeah, so I do my homework, okay? And I do it by the law, and y'all told me when I come to get the permit, you know, that it could be put there. But you didn't say that it couldn't be put there if I had too many people that didn't want it there. You didn't never say that when I went for the permit. You just said I had to come to get to y'all. So is there a stipulation in y'all's laws that you can't do something unless you can only do it unless you have no opposition against it?
I'm not sure if I understand what he's talking about, but obviously in order to put a modular dwelling unit on the property in R1 zone, it requires a zoning exception. And so that is the process. So it has to come before this board. And it's a public hearing. We don't know whether there may be opposition or not, so everybody has an opportunity to speak. We have received the opposition. So it's really up to this board to decide whether or not to grant this, whether there's opposition or not.
Yeah, because it meets all your requirements that I've turned in to y'all already. For as the zoning, for as the building construction, everything, it meets all y'all's requirements that y'all set forth.
This board, I don't think, have any requirements on the building itself. The construction of the building, we have a requirement for the use of the land.
Well, if it's a modular constructed home, it has to meet the International Residential Code. And that's why we require that we get something from the company indicating that it has met those requirements. That's why it's in the stipulation. Okay?
I just point of clarification.
Yes.
It is not allowed in R1 standards ordinance as of right, to build a modular home.
That is correct.
That's why we're here tonight.
That is correct.
That's right.
You can build a home as long as it's not a modular home.
That is correct.
Okay.
That is correct.
As far as just addressing Mr. Leggett, the homework done, it seems homework, in all fairness, has been done by both the surrounding homeowners and yourself. Because they're here stating, hey, we bought in an R1 area with assuming that the parish would uphold the R1 standards. And tonight,
There's the trick word right there, assuming.
well, I would assume that the parish would uphold the
Okay,
standards.
but-
That's where we have them, you know?
Well,
So that's where you're here tonight asking for an exception.
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's it.
Wes, you have any other comment?
I was just going to say, I'm not sure if everybody, I think we all did our homework. This is the process that
That's
is
right.
required. when somebody is requesting a modular home in an R1 zoning, this is the process that the police jury established years ago, that someone must come through this board in order to request that. It is not a given, it is a request for them.
Any other comments or questions from the board? Mr.
So-
Leggett, any other comments?
Well, the only thing I can say, so if I don't get the modular home, so I can build any piece of whatever I want to put there. As long as it meets the code. As long as it meets the code. Not a problem.
Thank you, Mr. Leggett.
Okay,
Ms. Christie, can we have a roll call vote, please, ma'am?
Mr. Smith? No. Mr. Porsche?
No.
Mr. Williams?
Oh,
Ms. Hyatt?
Yes.
Ms. Galicia? Ms. Cobb? Mr. Navarre?
No.
Mr. Link?
No.
2 for and 6 against.
Thank you, Ms. Christie. Motion fails. Please.
Please don't do that.
Agenda item number 11.
Can we do a quick recess?
give a recess just for a minute.
No one's
If y'all,
staying. Everyone's
thank you
staying.
very much. Agenda item number 11, take appropriate action on RZ 10190148, a request by Jonathan LaRocca to rezone from agricultural A1 to general commercial C2 to allow commercial development in the 500 block of Highway 3059 in Ward 3. Entertain a motion
So
for
moved.
recommendation with conditions of, have a motion by Mr. Navarre. Seconded by Ms. Cobbs. Ms. Tammy?
This property is located in the Clo area and encompasses approximately 8.7 acres. At this time, the applicant is requesting to rezone the property to general commercial to allow commercial development. The applicant intends to sell or lease the property for future commercial uses. In 2018, the board granted a similar request on the east side of Pujo Road for general commercial development. Because the proposed zoning is consistent with the character of the area, the staff recommends the request be granted with the following conditions. That unless modifications are required due to technical or engineering considerations and approved by the director, all uses and improvements must be pursuant to and in strict accordance with the applicable federal, state, and local laws, statutes, ordinances, codes, resolutions, rules, and regulations. That all exterior lighting must be oriented inward toward the development or structures to minimize intrusion onto surrounding properties. That screening must be provided in accordance with Section 2650 of the Parish Code of Ordinances prior to final electrical approval of this specific development, and that a runoff management plan will be required unless appropriate waiver is granted by the Division of Engineering.
Thank you, Ms. Tammy. Does the applicant have anything to add to the staff's recommendations? Thank you. Does any of the board members have any questions or comments? We have no blue cards, no opposition. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Agenda item number 12. Take appropriate action on RZ 10190149, a request by TKN Properties, LLC, to amend ordinance number 6334, RZ01-00614, stipulation 1, that the development adhere to the site plan on file with the Division of Planning and Development, provided that the Director of Planning and Development or designee may authorize adjustments to site plan in light of technical or engineering considerations discovered during development, to allow a revised site plan at 1665 Marlin Road in Ward 1. I'll entertain a motion to recommend approval with conditions. I have a motion by Ms. Cobb and seconded by Ms. Hyatt. Ms. Tammy?
This property is located in Moss Bluff and encompasses 1.13 acres. In 2014, the board approved a rezoning of this property to multifamily residential. At this time, the applicant would like to amend the ordinance stipulation number 1 to amend the site plan. If the amended ordinance is approved by the board and the police jury, the applicant will come before you next month to request a variance for density requirements. Because minimal impacts are to be expected, the staff recommends that the request be granted with the condition that the development adhere to the revised site plan on file with the Division of Planning and Development, provided that the director or designee may authorize adjustments to the site plan in light of technical or engineering considerations discovered during development.
Thank you, Ms. Tammy. Does the applicant have anything to add to the staff's recommendations? Thank you, sir. We have no blue cards. Any of the members of the board have any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Agenda item number 13. The next item on the agenda is to advise that the police jury took the following action on October 24th with reference to the recommendation of Planning and Zoning Board from the October 22nd, 2019 meeting. Michael Redd, Kellogg Road, Planning and Zoning recommended approval, police jury approved. West Calcasieu Port, Gross Road, Planning and Zoning recommended approval, police jury approved. SBB Enterprises, Highway 3059, Planning and Zoning recommended approval, police jury approved. Chapter 26, Small Cell Wireless Facilities Ordinance, the Planning and Zoning recommended approval, police jury approved November the 7th of 2019. The next item on the agenda is to advise that the next regularly scheduled Planning and Zoning meeting will be held on Tuesday, December the 17th, 2019, in the police jury meeting room. I was just looking to see if we had any members of our police jury that was here, and I don't see any. I entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
A motion by Mr. Navarre, seconded by Ms. Hyatt. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. Meeting adjourned.